Hi everyone, welcome to the session. I am M. Ganesan, Assistant Professor, IT Department of Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology, Coimbatore. In this session, I am going to talk about object-oriented programming. The topics covered in this session are procedure-oriented programming, object-oriented programming, the difference between procedure-oriented programming and object-oriented programming, basic concepts of object-oriented programming. Procedure-oriented programming. The main program is divided into smaller units called functions. In procedure-oriented programming, step 1 reading, step 2 calculation and step 3 printing. These three steps are used in all the programming we are used in the procedure-oriented programming. For example, suppose to add two numbers, first you have to read two numbers, then you have to add the two numbers, then print the result. So this procedure is followed in procedure oriented programming. The disadvantages of the procedure oriented programming are the global data access. It means the data can be accessed by anywhere in the program. Second one, it does not model real world problem very well. Third one, the no data hiding concepts in procedure oriented programming. Object oriented programming, it is a programming methodology that relies on the concept of classes and objects. So object which contains data and functions. So let us see this in this diagram, object A, B, C, three objects. Each objects having data and functions. These objects are communicated with help of these functions. Okay, so each and every objects having data and functions. Data means attributes and functions means method or procedures. The difference between object oriented programming and procedure oriented programming. In object oriented programming, the program is divided into objects rather than function. Object oriented programming follows bottom up approach, procedure oriented programming using top down approach. Object oriented programming has more security than the procedure oriented programming. Object oriented programming having access specifiers. It is used public, private, protected, which is not available in the procedure oriented programming. Object oriented programming uses two features, function overloading and operator overloading. These two features will be very useful in object oriented methodology, which is not available in procedure oriented programming. C, VB, Basic, Fortran, Pascal, these are all the basic language, some languages used in procedure oriented programming. C++, Java, VB.NET, C#.NET, these are all the example languages used for object oriented programming. Basic concepts of object oriented programming. We start with the class, object, data abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism. Now, what is a class? A class can be defined as a template or blueprint that describes the state or behavior of objects of certain kinds. A class contains properties and functions. So, a class contains properties and functions. Let us look at this diagram. Car is a class. It contains the properties. So, what are the properties? Model, color, registration. And what are the functions the car can perform? It performs forward function, backward function and stop function. Some other examples of a class are student, animal, car. So just what is an object? So object refers to a particular instance of a class. Everything is an object. So student, professor, desk, chair, classroom, building, university. So all the objects are having some properties and functions. Okay. Let us see an example of class and object. Here car is a class and Ford, Toyota, Volkswagen car, these are all the object of the class car. The properties of the classes car is color and the company and the place it is manufactured and it is the type of fuel. So these four properties of the car and three objects, and car is a class. Data abstraction. Data abstraction means it represents essential features only without including the background details. So data abstraction is the mechanism of exposing only the interfaces and hiding the implementation details from the user. For example, in calculator we are using plus minus symbols, the buttons. So if you press the plus button, the numbers will be added, but we don't know how it is implemented, right? So this is called the data abstraction. So the data abstraction feature is used to show the essential features which is needed for the customer, and it hides the background implementation details. Encapsulation. Encapsulation is a process of wrapping functions and data together into a single unit called class. The encapsulation concept is incorporated in object-oriented programming for the purpose of security. For example, a capsule which is mixed of several medicines, right? So we use the properties, the access specifiers called public, private and protected to implement this encapsulation. In this diagram, a class is a capsule. There are two portions or methods and variables. So the binding of data and functions into a single capsule is called encapsulation. Inheritance is a concept of object-oriented programming to implement the reusability function. Inheritance is a process of creating a new class from the old class. The new class is called derived class and the old class is called the base class. In this diagram, we have a base class and derived class. In base class, we have three features, three properties A, B and C. In derived class, in addition to, suppose we want the same features A, B, C in the derived class also, we use the inheritance. So in this case, in addition to this A, B, C features, you can add one more features D also. So this is called the inheritance. So inheritance is a method of creating a new class from old class. And polymorphism. So polymorphism, what do you mean by polymorphism? Poly means many, morph means multiple forms. So many forms, polymorphism means many forms. So the ability to appear in many forms is called polymorphism. So here the polymorphism refers to a programming language's ability to process objects differently depending on their data type or class. Here the shape, shape is a class, circle, rectangle, square. These are all the four classes available. In all the classes, we are using only one method is called draw. Draw is a function. This function can be used in all the classes by differentiating either the arguments or the data type. So this is called the polymorphism. Thank you very much.